Hello, friends. How are you? Oh my gosh. Y'all, I woke up this morning and had 40 new followers in 24 hours, and I'm a little bit, okay, here's the thing is that I was so excited because I went in and read my entire birth chart and I kind of understood my purpose here, or what I believe to be my life path. And so I made the choice to like revamp my channel. I had an old channel, and y'all, I had the old channel for like a month and I had like 15 followers, I think, and hardly any views, and it was just not really going anywhere. And I decided to change the name. I did like a name generator one day. I'm a Taurus, and I saw the Temporal Taurus and I was like, I like that. And I made like the logo that I have, I made that in Fresco on Adobe Fresco. I've been an artist for over 20, since childhood. So I just decided to make it all fancy. And I also decided that I was just going to go in with my authenticity. And wow, I don't even know what to say, honestly. Like, I'm dumbfounded, realistically. The comments in particular, y'all are so supportive, and I'm literally brand spanking new to YouTube, and just the comments and the things that y'all say is just, oh, I'm so grateful for you. It's, I don't even know. I told my guides before I came on today, I was like, I just want to do a message for them, just something that they need to hear in this moment, not necessarily, it could be about a connection, and that's why we're here. We're here because of connections. Connections are the catalyst for growth, and I completely comprehend that. And so I know that what you want to hear about most likely is going to be a connection, and so it could pull into that. But I just want to do an energy read, and I want to do just advice for you in this moment on whatever it is that you're here for. And also just to extend a huge thank you, your support and the comments that you write. Honestly, I've been in a really major transition in my life, and trying to find, I guess, my people, and I could literally cry, I swear. But just, oh my goodness, just thank you so much for being here, really. All right, I don't have a whole lot of time, so I'm going to try to get through this one pretty quickly. I do own my own business, and I've been working a graphic design project for my stepdad's business, so I'm a busy bee, and I'm a mom too, so all right, let's go ahead and let's dive right into this. We got group 1, group 2, and group 3. I think you had plenty of time to look at those. Okay, bring me into group 3's energy, please. I got that song right away, Sail Away, Sail Away, Sail Away. If y'all don't know, how I connect into energy is through music, song lyrics, and like movie images is kind of how my guides help to communicate with me. And sometimes I'll hear certain things and I can channel. I don't really know how I channel, honestly. I wish I could tell you how to do it. It's just it's a weird thing. Sometimes it feels kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's like you'll go on this kind of tangent, I guess it sounds like, and then you kind of break out of it and you're like, ooh, whoa, I just channeled a whole long ass message. My guides are really sassy, and it just depends on what the message is, on kind of how the message is going to come across. Sometimes it's really raw and really deep. I've had a pretty extensive life history. I always say I've lived a long life, and I'm only 38, and so but I've been through the ringer, and I think it was purposeful so that I could help other people on their journeys. So I hope that's what we provide you today, Group 1. Tapping into your energy a little bit, Group 1, I do feel like it's, what is the right word here? Because it's an immense amount of gratitude, but it's kind of teetering on just wanting to kind of break down a little bit. I do have a change in the wind, and a song that's been coming in a lot for some of my groups is that song Winds of Change by the Scorpions. And that's kind of something that I felt a hit to discuss, is that for me, that song is about change and transition. And it's also about being present with ourselves, in our body too. This morning, I've been doing a yogi. I've been doing a yoga routine in the mornings, and this morning I had this moment with my youngest son where I realized that he was just too little to be on a device as much as I had, as much as I wish that I was an amazing mother, but he had been on a device in the morning. And I thought, why don't you sit down and do yoga with me? And man, that changed that kid's entire demeanor. And it was a really humbling, I don't even know how to explain. It was just an aha moment that it was. So I think that what your message is going to be about is connecting into the relationships and really leaning on those. I leaned on my best friend this morning and this weekend, and I have come into an awareness that who we surround ourselves with is very important and pivotal in this moment. So, all right, Group 1, let's get into your energy. What is the energy for Group 1, please? What is the energy in this moment for Group 1? Sometimes when I laugh like that, it's because I hear things like, "Hi, Crystal." And it just, I don't know that I want to say it out loud. So I just kind of giggle. And I noticed in my readings, I have little moments where I just kind of giggle. And I'm like, they're probably like, what is she laughing about? Ooh. Oh. We got a little fire in us. Let's be careful we're not falling a little bit off balance. Something could be going on. And I feel this for you. Group 1, I really resonate always into Group 1. And so if you are in this group, you are typically who I'm going to probably connect in with the most. And it's this sort of, man, it is this kind of like, it is this sort of, oh, what is it? Once bitten, twice shy, baby. Thank you. I feel like for Group 1, what you're doing is you're moving into your power. Now, one thing that I do feel compelled to, just kind of as a, what is it? What is the right word going to be here? Don't lose your footing is something I just heard is, okay, yeah, hold your ground, hold your power, but don't get into a space where you're too rigid or too cutthroat. And I heard that, man, y'all should listen to Sean James. I heard it's a snake eats snake world. And so I feel like you're in this, which that song is by... It is Eaten Like Kings by Sean James, who is my favorite artist, by the way, next to Tool. And I heard it's a snake eat snake world. So And then it is sort of this, okay, I'm seeing like a gymnast kind of like doing like the tight walk kind of thing. And so I do feel like we're kind of balancing, we're teetering between, I think you're in a new space of really holding boundaries within certain spaces and going, you know what? No, that's a no for me. And one of the things that one of my closest friends used to always say, that sounds like a you problem. And when I was going through some heavy things, I realized the spaces in which I would mirror back the things that were given to me. So if someone came at me with a certain type of energy, I would mirror it back to them. It was like I was consistently in a, oh, we gonna match vibes kind of space. And she said that to me once. She was like, that sounds like a you problem. And basically I was in this position then that was like, am I gonna fight that battle? Am I really gonna go and, you know, match wits with this person? Oftentimes what I have found is that critical thinking is not a super common thing within our society. And so when I would come into an awareness or an understanding of something, and I would try to connect with somebody who either energetically didn't align with me or just systematically and wasn't able to invoke a complex way of looking at a situation. And I realized that in that moment, I'm the teacher. And that's really hard to get into an awareness of, because you can tend to kind of fall in line with people and go into their energy with them, and then end up being and then that puts us in a space of guilt. And guilt is like literally the worst feeling that there is on the vibrational scale. It's at the very bottom, right? So maintaining our composure and maintaining our power and being able to hone in to going, you know what, I'm not going to fight that battle. That battle is not mine to fight. And more importantly, are they going to understand me? The thing is, it's about communication. There's a quote out there about communication that says that, I can't remember how it goes, but it was like, once I understood that communication was about comprehension, then I realized that essentially that I was wasting my time. And so I think that that's kind of the overall message for you, because you do have the dragon in the reverse and you have the fish in the reverse. So I'm not going to say that the fish in the reverse is necessarily a bad thing for this particular message, because in the upright, it's kind of flowing in with every emotion. It's really getting into a space of perhaps even flowing into emotions that might make you feel like, man, it might give you a moment of going, of feeling like you kind of gave in to an energy that you didn't want to give in. So I'm not super concerned about that being in the reverse. I think in the upright, it is kind of flowing in with your femininity. Right now, this could be a little bit of a masculine response, but sometimes, well, first of all, you could be a masculine. Second of all, we all kind of need to balance in both of those energies, right? And in this moment, it could be that you are kind of in a space and in a position in which you need to kind of put your foot down a little bit. And I think you're in that sort of awareness. And there is still a sense of softening to that. The dragon is, okay, there's a transformative process in the scorpion energy that is essentially going from a scorpion to a dragon. And I can't remember where I first heard this transition, but it essentially is the scorpion in their sort of adolescent state. This could very well be a North Node in Taurus too, just side noting that. I have a North Node in Taurus, and the opposition to that is Scorpio, the South Node. Anyway, so moving into this transition is the Scorpio is sort of rigid, and if and they have that stinger, right, that just comes out and kind of stabs you and then runs away and hides in their little shell, and kind of just doesn't deal with problems. And when they do deal with problems, they're really aggressive about it. Then they move into a hawk or an eagle, and then they move into the phoenix, and then they transition from the phoenix into the dragon. Okay, and the dragon, while the dragon breathes fire and can create destruction, there's poise and elegance and somewhat of a status to the dragon that is like, it isn't even necessarily, then you kind of move into this space that no one's gonna mess with you, because they know that this is somebody that I cannot mess with, okay? And that's a great position to be in. Now, we don't want it to be where they don't mess with you, because if it's a level of intimidation, because then the energy that's being provided is a lot different. So when we don't want to be messed with, it's a level of respect, right? We want to receive respect, and we deserve it, especially if we worked for it, right? All right, let's get into some more energy for you, group one. I like this vibe. This is really empowering. I heard, my anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun. Maybe you got a booty. I don't know why we're talking about that. Maybe you're in, maybe you're homing into sort of your sensual energy, which is fabulous. Do proceed. We have the 7 star sisters, birthing creations, tapestry of life, expression. That makes really a lot of sense with the last song, is kind of moving into this embodiment of expressing self, of honing into our own authenticity. Something that my friend said this morning that I thought really resonated with me was that we have been talking a lot about this journey back to God. And something that she said was, she was talking about, you know, the path to our authenticity and being yourself, not being what the world expects of you. And when I heard that, I was like, amen, sister. Amen. Also, that could be just a little hint for you to make sure that the communication that you have in the friendships that you have is positive and uplifting, and you're talking about things like self-empowerment and God and not other people, right? Meow. Oh my goodness, I love this pile. Y'all are sassy today. All right, can I please have some more energy cards for group one, please? You got me tripping, stumbling. I don't think it's I think it's sort of a kind of like teetering, right? I'm seeing the playground, you know, I don't know what they're called right now, but the teeter-totter, thank you. There is a little fly that is around here that is just, first of all, where does it come from? I think it comes from we have guinea pigs, and if y'all have guinea pigs, they are so messy. It's like the amount that you have to sit there and clean their cage is absurd. They're so annoying. And it was warm, and I am a very busy mother, and their cage, I cleaned it. And then I was like, oh no, these guys are going to attract flies, because I cleaned it the other day and realized it was a mess. Anyway, so if you see that little guy flying around, that's why. Okay, the cosmic heart, devotion, potency, make your life a moving prayer. Yeah, I probably just talked about God for a reason. And this can be any kind of, it doesn't have to be God, okay? I have my own views on spirituality and all that. For me, I actually went through a period of time where I was borderline atheist, honestly. I was agnostic for a good portion of my life. I was very pessimistic, very angry, very aggressive, and really thought that religion and all things related to it was BS. And for me, I found that my entire journey, or what I felt for my journey, was that it was a journey back to God. And this can be just a journey back to spirituality. It doesn't necessarily have to be God if that doesn't resonate with you. But I do think that if you're here and you're listening to a tarot reading, you're at least somewhat interested in spirituality, right? And so I think that also something that we're embodying, or something at least that is advice in this moment, is to really lean into your spiritual body and make sure that you are doing all those things to kind of balance that out and maintaining that. Yeah, we have bringing unconsciousness to light. But one thing you could be going through in this moment is unfortunately kind of like recognizing where in the past and in previous situations and experiences is where you were in this space of really self-destruction. Not necessarily, that's not the right word, that's not what I want to say. Self-sabotaging or self-sacrificing, thank you, Spirit, where it's more so that you are in this space of oh, there's another analogy that just popped up that I want to tell you about really quick. But okay, so there is this, I think it's a Chinese proverb, don't quote me on this, where I don't know what it means. I don't know what the saying is, but essentially what it means is there's a bunch of nails, right? There's a whole bunch of nails in a row, and then there's one nail that's sticking up the highest, right? And the proverb is essentially that you need to get in line, okay? And it means that the nail, what is it? The nail that sticks out the farthest is the one the hammerhead hits first. And so if you are in this space of moving into your authenticity and really honing into the things that you are accepting for yourself and standing out and moving in a way that is maybe taking a step off the beat, off the beaten path, and recognizing that in that space, people like to throw rocks at things that shine, unfortunately. And so it's also just kind of building into this awareness that when you are moving into your own authenticity, you could shake things up. There could be some people that might want to test those boundaries, or there could be people that unfortunately just maybe are, I heard, a good time for a short time. And building into this awareness of who we have to cut out. When I was going through my healing journey, I'm still going through it. First of all, like let's just start there. But when I went through this one phase where I isolated to the capacity that I only let people in who were supportive and encouraging and uplifting, and so I had one person essentially in that space, and my children. And that was it. And it's totally okay to kind of clean it all out, and then see, well, first of all, when you clean it all out, one thing that you do notice is who's there for you when you go real quiet. And we can't put expectations on others. We all have things that are going on in our lives, and I certainly am not always the best at reaching out myself. And so we also had to put ourselves in a, realistic expectation of others as well, and going, life is difficult for us all in some way or another. Everybody has their things that they are working through and going through. And so just making sure that what you are allowing into your space and into your energy and into your field is all uplifting. It's all good for you. And also being in awareness that, have boundaries, but if you're someone who's new to building boundaries, there is kind of this, it's hard sometimes because we'll build boundaries and then we feel guilty about it, we're like, should I not have done that? And because, typically if you're in a space of needing to build boundaries, you may fawn, and fawning is essentially people pleasing and, not wanting to ruffle anybody's feathers, wanting everyone to like us. I suffer with that as well, with just having RSD from my ADHD. So I totally understand being sensitive to that kind of space. But the more in which you move into your own authenticity, the more that what you give out, you receive in return. And that should be shown to you tenfold. And just don't give up. Just keep continuing to be in a space in which you are looking at yourself and in your own authenticity in this moment, and really giving yourself the grace to get through it. And it's totally okay to be in this, to be a bit of a, you know, a cobra, I guess. Should we do maybe, let's do a wild archetype card for you, and then we'll get into it. Whoa, this just flew right out. Holy moly. Thanatos? I've literally never pulled this card before. What is this? What is that in the middle of it? Some of the imagery on these is like, there's a bunch of hands. What is in this? I will say the imagery is kind of like there's a bunch of hands reaching for one another. And, you know, I've talked a lot about community in this and talked about finding your people. So that seems like a relevant conversation that we're having here. I don't know why I'm a little bit chatty in this particular read, although I really resonate into this moment, into this energy. And so I feel like I'm just kind of connecting with my own people in this particular read. Sorry, it takes me a moment sometimes to find the things I am looking for. Thanatos, I'm going to read, even though I'm not a big fan when readers read from a book, but it is what it is. It is tempting to oversimplify death and sum it up as a transformation, but the true archetypal resonance of Thanatos cannot be easily assimilated or contained. Death is ongoing and omnipresent, an eternal response to the gift of rebirth. Of birth, witnessing the end of another being, creature, phase, or stage has deep consequences for the psyche. We are forever changed by Thanatos as it sweeps us under its wings, making us relinquish control in every form. Oh, interesting. So I mean, there very well could be a death surrounding you, and in which case I extend sympathy and condolences for you. But I really feel like this is much more about the makings of a rebirth and a transformation and a finalization. I'm really surprised that you didn't get the cosmic egg, honestly, but anyway. So it's about, there's a part of you that you've cut away that is no longer going to be a continuation with you into the future. You've understood a lesson, you are in the lesson, and I'm going to say it has a lot to do with personal accountability and personal security, and knowing what I hate the word deserve, okay, but it's more so knowing that what we give, we should receive. And so if you are in a space of giving and giving and giving and not seeing reciprocity, then that is really resistance to continuing within that space. This is stepping outside of a cycle and ending a cycle and putting your foot down to a cycle and no longer following that path. It's choosing to pivot, honestly. And okay, high five group one, because that is not an easy thing to do, and I'm super proud of you. So let's go ahead and move into what the advice is for you in this moment through the tarot. I'm going to make this a short read because I do feel like these energy reads bring and pack big messages. So we'll just do one reading for you and go into standard. I'm just obsessed with this deck. I don't know. It's just standard right away, but just because it has like the pretty, I don't know. I'm weird. Okay. What is some advice, or let's see. What is the advice for group one in this moment, please? What is the advice for group one in this moment? Ooh. Very, okay. These these two cards are, they have such similar meanings. So it's really kind of cheeky that they are brought out in the reverse. Or one's in the reverse and one's in the upright. Huh? Okay, this one fell on the ground, so I wasn't sure if it was upright or not. What is the advice for judgment? I love when I see judgment come in the upright, because I feel like it is kind of, it's kind of, I see it as reward based, almost as like a congratulatory kind of moment where we kind of have been in this cycle of, you know, self-sacrificing or accepting less for ourselves than we are capable of giving. And so I do see it kind of as a, yeah. I do want to say that, because I know a lot of people come in and they connect into a connection. I do think that the reason for this experience, which it typically is because of a connection. However, in this moment, I'm not going to say that. I do feel like this connection does have the potential to be a 10 of Cups scenario, and there does need to be balance brought into this. But it seems as though what you're being sort of advised to do is I think it is, okay, it's really interesting because it's sort of, embodying you to soften just a little bit. And get a little bit out of, well, actually, I feel like it's more so that you are moving out of this space of being sort of blindly, you know, there's all these swords around this woman, and she's blindfolded and she's tied up, but there's nobody else around. So it gives sort of this impression that she did it to herself, kind of thing, you know. And I don't want it to come across like very much. It takes two to tango in every connection. So, I mean, but sometimes we bring in the past into present situations. And I saw this quote from one of my friends. He posted this the other day, and it said, "Come healed. I didn't do shit to you." And I was like, it just hit me like right in the gut, because I'm an analyzer, so I correlate certain behaviors to, and they could be very normal, but my, you know, the trauma response within me is like, nope, that's scary. Obviously that's a bad thing. And it could just be a natural response that I never had experienced before. And I'm kind of building into an awareness of this, that some of the more natural responses that seemed as though they were scary were just very normal, and I hadn't experienced normal before, so I was like, oh, okay, oops, my bad. And there is sort of this kind of thing that if you are single, there may be somebody that within your kind of scope of awareness that thinks that you are just surrounded by wands that want you, that they have to beat off with a stick. I don't know why. I always see the 7 of Wands like that. Personally, I see wands anyway within tarot as, you know, wands. Anyway, but this is really kind of going out of this balance. It's really embodying you or the both of you to put down these things that you're carrying onto that it makes no sense that you're carrying onto, these burdens that have been brought into this space that don't necessarily belong here because they don't have anything to do with this particular scenario. Now, I do think that things need to happen a certain way, but it is sort of a mutual thing. One thing that is sort of tapping in as advice is that we have to make sure that we're not being so rigid that we're not approachable, or being so, you know, that we're not building into an expectation of it has to happen exactly this way. A little hit of emotion or a little cup of love can go a long way. And so there is this kind of, make sure that you're not turning your back on the cups that are being presented in front of you because of this sort of my way or the highway approach. And it can be really easy to get into that my way or the highway approach. I completely resonate into this because I've been in a space where if it didn't align with me or it made me feel like it was scary, I was like, yep, no, goodbye. And I would just cut people out and I wouldn't even give them a chance. And so this is sort of it is sort of an underlying message of softening a little bit to not being, again, you coming out as that cobra, right? So don't be too unapproachable, kind of balance, bring in a little bit of balance into that space, give a little bit more. We can get into a space too when we're moving into not a reciprocal energy, but a receptive energy, especially if we've been someone who's kind of always given our energy to others. Then we get into the space of going, no, I am in a receptive energy, and then suddenly it's like we find ourselves in an imbalance where it's like, oh, okay, so now everybody has to reach out to you to meet you, to connect with you. And so making sure that there is a balance of give and take. You don't, just as much as you wouldn't want to be the person always having to reach out, neither does the other party. And so kind of bringing into a balance of this, and it's sort of but also there is an underlying thing of making sure that we think before we speak too, because we could have been in a space that we were just a little bit impulsive, or especially even if we're kind of building boundaries and we're impulsive with those as well. It's easy when you're kind of someone who, because that fish, right, was in the reverse, and in the upright, the fish can be a little bit impulsive, and the fish can be just jumping and go into what feels right without really thinking it through. And so this message is to kind of think things through before responding or before engaging, and really make sure that we're coming into it with a broader awareness of how we want to approach the situation and how we want to respond, rather than just allowing ourselves to sort of impulsively respond without really thinking it through, which is, I mean, that's really easy to say, right, group one, but it's not as easy to do if you are someone who kind of does that. I completely resonate into that. And I've been in spaces before where someone came at me and I didn't feel like I had this, I didn't have the space to respond, and I just bit back. And then afterwards, I'm always the type of person that when I bite back, I want to apologize. And so then I'm fawning even more, right? I want to apologize for my behavior. And I would just rather be in a space that I'm not biting back unless it's a battle that's really worth it, right? So that seems to be the advice, the overall advice for how to kind of proceed in this space. And I'm going to say probably connection within this connection is to make sure that what you are expecting from someone, you are capable of providing, and to don't move into a space that is, okay, well, if it's their turn to communicate, and it very well could be that it has to be a certain way, or that we're going to just push them away really quick. We got to get into a sense of safety within both spaces. And so no matter what it is, don't be rigid. Don't come at it like this isn't good enough, because we have to get into awareness of going, if we're wanting someone to open up to us a little bit more, and they give us a little bit of what they are comfortable with. And also got to make sure that if someone really was emotionally closed off and they're giving you a little bit, that's hard for them to do. So they're also stepping outside of their own boundaries, and it's easy for us to go right back into going, I'm going to run, or how dare you, I'm going to chase, it's really, really easy to move back into the space. So this is kind of embodying this whole sense of grounding in and really thinking it through. If you haven't heard from someone in a while and you get a message from them, don't instantly respond. Think about it. Think about what it is that you want to say. Think about, really read what they're saying. And remember, I talked earlier about the communication is about comprehension. What are they saying to you when they're reaching out to you? What is it that they want from you realistically? And how does it make you feel instantaneously? Now, the instantaneous response sometimes is a survival response, right? Sometimes it's, we look at that and we're like, fuck off, and we could very well just say, if we get into a space where we end up finding comfort in that, we could very well just tell someone to fluff off, and so so make sure that you're responding in a centered, calm, grounded space, and give yourself grace and give yourself time. You don't have to respond right away. In fact, I would really encourage you not to. Okay, so that is the advice for you, group 1. Thank y'all so much for being here, for the support that you're providing. If you are new here, please like and subscribe, turn on notifications, because I don't have a schedule yet on when videos are going to come up. I'm trying to do a reading every day, but sometimes that's not always the easiest thing. And I am a wedding photographer, so I do have editing that I have to do, and I have weddings that I have on the weekends as well. So I'm probably not going to be able to do readings over the weekends and things like that. So do turn on the notifications specifically for that purpose, and because it would just make my little heart happy, and we want that, don't we? So all right, group 1, have a wonderful day. I hope this resonated with you. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, baby. Oh. Group 2. Ooh. Group 2. I know you're like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. That's the vibe for group 2 right now. And baby, do it. I got that Shia LaBeouf thing, is like, yesterday you said tomorrow, just do it. I feel like you've been hyping yourself up for a little while to like take a leap of faith, and you're just like right there, and you're like, I'm gonna do it. And there's like so much like tenacity in this group where you're like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. You're like hyping yourself up and going, am I gonna do it? And I feel like it's kind of been like a teetering for you. You're like, no, I'm not gonna do it. Yes, I'm gonna do it. And this is telling you, do it. Okay, sorry. Hello, group 2. We're going to do just a quick energy check-in and see a little bit of like what you need to know in this particular moment, what's going on with you, and whatever it is that you're here to hear about, which is probably something to do with a connection. It typically is, but we'll see. Right now, in this moment, I just heard, do it now. What? That gets real dirty. I don't know if I can. It gets real dirty, actually, that song. Oh, okay. You might be a little bit, you might be in a very like sensual, playful, passionate. I just heard that. I want it, get to it, riding my pony, my saddle, jump on it. Okay. Wow, I'm so grateful that new music is coming in, because I think yesterday might have been a bit major shift for all of my collective, and we're in much better energy today than we have been recently, and so I'm here for it. I'm here for the new music, because the last 5 videos I did, it was like the same songs coming in every time. I'm like, okay, we get it. Is there another song that like says what we need to say here? So, all right. Hello, group 2. Let's get into your energy. I like your energy. What is the energy for group 2, please? I might have to... Okay. What is the energy for group 2, please? Is this... Why is it always the deer? Let's get another energy. I feel like there's always a group in here that's like the deer. Every time. Every time. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but what is another energy card? Oh, was it this one? GB. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. You know what? We did 3 for group 1, so let's do another one for group 2. Because I feel like this is kind of your duality right now. It's like, I'm going to go and be playful. No, I'm not. Screw you. I heard, screw you guys. I'm going home from Cartman. What is another energy for group 2, please? I feel like the reason it's kind of waving in and out is because this come to the edge thing is just, it's like you're in a fight. It's like you're in a battle with yourself. Ooh. Jicro. I also have the swan on the back of the deck. I'm going to bring out the swan. The swan is like the ugly duckling path for me, and I'm here for that. So the crow thing, the crow talks about spiritual gifts. It could be talking about honing into spirituality to kind of balance out this moment for you, because I do feel like what is interesting is group 2 is that you're kind of teetering between being playful, being energetic, being just kind of leaping into the air, right? Like a deer, and just going for it. And then also there's this like, there's sort of on the back burner, there's still that lingering, but they did this, so I'm gonna sting them. And it's kind of embodying you to kind of zone out a little bit, or zoom out of the scenario and look at the whole situation. It takes 2 to tango, baby. And so there ain't no way to slice that. And if you're sort of teetering on, oh, if I should just do this thing, whatever it is that you're in a space that's kind of going, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it. And also there's this hint of not trusting self, and also not really seeing that you are super cool and very unique and very rare. And I think it has a lot to do with this sort of pathway of this, you know, the ugly duckling kind of life path, right? Of maybe having a lifetime of really not feeling seen for who you are, or feeling kind of even, what do I want to say here? Just not really feeling appreciated, not being reassured, maybe being in a space in which, you know, the people around you belittled you, and never really being in a space where you were just assured and appreciated and loved just because of who you are, not what you do, which is super important. And so I think the message here is kind of informing you that you are worthy, and you do deserve to feel any number of wonderful things realistically. And if you're in a space too of, I always feel that one of the things that I say is that the testament of a good mother is if she thinks she's not. Okay. And this could be a good father as well, but it's also of it you can embody, or you can implement that sort of belief system into any space, right? So if it's I'm not good enough because of XYZ, I always feel like it's a little bit, I think you might have a bit of imposter syndrome, a little bit, group 2. Just, look that up. But there could be some element of that here where it's just I can't do it because I'm not ready, I'm not this, and it's kind of this space of talking yourself out of it, talking yourself out of doing something that obviously you want to do. Otherwise I wouldn't say come to the edge, right? So one thing that is a message in here is to sort of connect in with spirit, connect in with spirituality, connect in with God, whatever resonates with you, and make sure that you are balancing yourself and not getting too far up in your head, and also connecting in with spirit. Surrenderers are great. Saying, I don't know how to deal with this situation. I'm surrendering it to you. Can you please help guide me? One of the things that when I first started getting into spirituality and learning about spirit guides was that those that were teaching it were like, all you got to do is ask for help and be specific. And I was like, what? That's all you have to do? Nah. I mean, there's more to it, obviously, because it's like you can receive guidance, but also no, they can't do things for you. Things fall in line a little bit differently. And there's, the law of attraction is real. So even if you don't believe in all that stuff, like, just consider it. I always provide to like non-believers the placebo theory. And so I tell people, well, if you believe in the placebo effect, then realistically that's the same concept, so you should be able to believe in the law of attraction, right? I do have this sort of I think that the moment that you're in with this spontaneous awakening, I think it's maybe it's a result of this connection, or maybe it's being just in a certain energy where it's like all these downloads are coming in and you're like, what is going on? What in the heck? Like, and suddenly you're beginning to see the world in a different way, in a different light, and it's all coming in kind of at rapid pace, and that can be really uncomfortable. But so I do think that you are on the, I think you're I would say you're probably already aware that you're in an awakening moment or having a spiritual awakening, or on the cusp of that, or just, it's going to take to unravel a pattern. Group 2 is baby steps. And I see it like a ball of yarn. That's how I consider that the large ball of yarn is sort of the cycle that has been going on for years and years and years. And all it takes is just one little bit to begin unraveling an entire pattern. And all you got to do is just start working away at it. And obviously it's all knotted up. There's a bunch of things intertwined in there. So it's going to be it is a process, but not untying, not undoing the large knot is going to be less effective than starting to work at it. And one small pivot in a behavioral pattern in particular can unravel the whole cycle. And then it's just about maintaining. It's just about making sure that we're really aware that we're not falling into those same patterns and that we are stepping outside of it. So, yeah. Can you please provide me some more energy for group 2, please? Wow, that just flew right out of there. Forge, don't follow. Another thing, I've had this come in, and I think it has been, in particular with group 2, is that group 2 has had this like repetitive message of not following, but allowing external forces to kind of guide them, and then going, why did I listen to that person? Because here I am listening to people that really don't even know what's best for me. They don't even know what's best for themselves. And sometimes we have to get into awareness of looking at someone's life, and more importantly, looking at their relationships that they have around them and going, am I taking relationship advice from the right people here? Because if these are people that are constantly talking about other people, or worse, are putting down their own partner, or putting down other friends within their group, or they're really just, they don't have good, solid foundations within the relationships around them, then we have to look at that and go, how this person couldn't possibly know how to have a healthy relationship because they don't have any around them. Why am I going to this person for advice? And so really making sure that we know who we are going to for advice. I always, if I go to someone for advice, it's someone who has a great relationship with themselves and a great relationship with those around them, and has solid boundaries and has solid perspectives. And more importantly, we don't talk about other people. We talk about, you know, the things that we want to do with our life and building one another up and all those things. And so making sure that the people that are around you are really solid. And I do feel like it's my group twos in particular that have been in this space of cleaning out. I heard cleaning out the closet. I also heard that song, I'm sorry, mama, I never meant to hurt you. But tonight I'm cleaning out my closet. That might resonate with somebody. This is moving into an awareness too, moving into that space of sort of learning and honing into correlations, understanding all the intricate synchronicities of life. And yeah, it is sort of like being in this, you may be a little bit in the cocooning phase at this moment, which is a part of the healing process in which you kind of got to like sit in all the gunk and all the muck and then decide essentially that you would like to become a butterfly and not stay a pile of mush. You know, super pleasant analogy, I know, I'm sorry, group two. Yeah, so it is being in this womb. And the interesting thing about the womb phase is very fascinating to me because there are several years in which it feels like a birthing process, right? Where we go through this sort of tunnel almost. This is, don't get weird on me. But it is kind of like that, a tunnel where it's painful. It's literally excruciating, right? We go through this sort of birthing process in life where it's painful, it's disgusting, and then we come out and it's like, oh, I can breathe. And it's like, it's almost as though those are elements in which we are being rebirthed several times over within our lives, not just in this phase in which we were born, you know, at birth. It's very fascinating stuff. And so I do feel like you're kind of in this space of reaching for the light and knowing that this is what you need to do is step outside of that cycle. You got to get rid of some things, or you have already been in the process of getting rid of some things. And it's like, okay, now I got to do this, whatever it is that you've been doing for X amount of time that is no longer working for you. You are intended in this moment to step outside of it and to pivot and you'll know what that is for you. And I'm saying it that vague way because it can apply to so many people in so many scenarios, because many of us are in this space or have been in this space. And so we know individually what it is, what cycle it is that we're in that we have to step outside of, and what actions that we need to take for self to get us on the right path. And so it's like, this is a moment, it's kind of out with the old, in with the new kind of vibe. All right. Whew. I love this for you, group three, or group two, excuse me. I don't know if that was a slip for some reason. I love this for you because this is the first time I've been able to get into group two. I always feel like the same kind of collectives come in for each one of these. And group two, the energy in group two has been so all over the place the last couple weeks. It's been very imbalanced. And so I think you've been really going through it. This might be one of the first days in which you're kind of balancing in, and thank goodness. I love that for you, group 2. All right, we're going to do a short read today. I'm just going to do one tarot reading because I do feel like the big message is typically in that energy read. It's kind of, you know, the majority of the advice comes... Device? Did I say device? The majority of the advice comes in that particular reading. So, all right. What is the advice here for group 2, please? What do you need to know? Ooh, see, good. That's what I was talking about, was that I felt like your energy was all over the place. This is really coming out of a moment and really being able to breathe for the first time. I heard that. I can breathe for the first time. What is that? Who's that by? Kelly Clarkson. Thanks to you. Might have been a breakup situation. Doesn't have to be, but typically honestly, it is close connections in which we grow. So obviously this is related to a connection more than likely. Wow. Okay. Okay, one more here. I do want to say that what it is, oh, what's up? Every good boy needs a little love. Every bad boy, or wait, what is it? Every bad boy needs a little love. Okay, sorry. Ooh, Tower in reverse. Hey, that's good. Ooh. Okay, sorry. I just got a little bit excited for you, group 2, because, man, the energy that I've been pulling in for group 2 the last couple weeks has been real all over the place. This is very hopeful. Yay. Okay, so it seems as though there's been this sort of moving blindly, not following intuition at all, and really being influenced by external forces, really moving into a space of allowing other people to determine for us what it is that we're doing with our life and how we're going to move and what we're going to do and who we're going to choose and what we feel for ourselves. And this is you stepping into a moment and going, you know what? I'm going to listen to my intuition. I'm going to listen to my heart. I'm going to listen to what I want, because listening to you has put me in a lot of situations that aren't comfortable. And so it is related to connections. And it is also this awareness too. I think the contemplation and what we're kind of thinking on is not wanting to, well, first of all, it's not wanting to be left out in the cold. There's that aspect, but also making this awareness of wanting to balance into not overgiving, or also not kind of leaving people out in the cold either. And this awareness that is, okay, I have to bring in some balance for this, either a connection with someone else or just within self, and just going, okay, I got to connect in. This is about grounding. This is about bringing in stability and ultimately having the strength to push forward in whatever it is that you're on the cusp of in this moment. Because this is like following a tower moment. And I think that's probably why you've been stumbling for the last couple weeks as well, and being sort of all over the place and in this kind of like off balance energy, right? Is because there was a tower moment, and it was a catalyst for a big awakening for you. And high five, I'm in that boat with you. Fist pump. Okay. But ultimately the decisions that you are making right now and what you are doing in this moment, and this decision that you have to take this leap of faith, is bringing you into, alignment with a fulfilling connection. So make sure that whatever it is, and you're going to know, okay, do I need to do this? Do I need to do whatever it is that you've kind of consistently done, or however you've consistently moved in the past? That's what you're being encouraged to step outside of, okay? And also for this particular group, really honing into your own intuition, really moving in a space in which you are doing things for self that feel good for you, regardless of what anybody else has to say about it. Obviously, you know, within reason. We don't want to get into a space where we're just unhinged to the point that we're destructive. So obviously, you know, this is about, it's actually, it would be the antithesis of that. It would be getting away from destructive patterns and getting away from destructive people and getting away from destructive spaces that are they're basically telling you what to do or making you feel like you're not good enough because you're not doing whatever they want you to do. Well, sit and spin because you only have one life to live. Realistically, you don't know if you have more than one life to live. I mean, we can believe in reincarnation and we can hope for reincarnation, but why? What are we going to do? Just hope for reincarnation and that the next go around we might enjoy it? No, we're going to enjoy life now. So do what feels right to you. Do what feels best to you. Chase what you want in life. Except for people that are running away from you. Don't do that. But you know what I mean. If they're, what you give is what you receive, right? So make sure that whatever you're putting into it, don't look at situations with resentment. Don't look at situations with animosity. Don't look at, you know, shame, guilt, fear. All of those things are going to keep you attracted to feeling more of that. So do make sure that you are putting yourself in alignment with the greater good, not just the greater good of yourself, but the greater good of all of those around you as well. Really making sure that we're aware of energetic alignment and that we believe it because it is real and it is powerful. A very powerful tool in your life is to tap into energy. All right, group 2. That's your message. If this resonated with you, please like and subscribe, stick around, leave me a comment. I love the comments. Oh my goodness, I love seeing comments. I just love reading them, and the things that y'all have to say are so sweet and so supportive, and you make me feel so good. All right, group 2, thank you so much for being here. Enjoy the rest of your day. I hope this resonates with you. Just picking up these cards, I have that. What is hope? What's up? Every bad boy needs a little love. I'll put it down. I'm gonna pick it up. All right. Goodbye, group 2. Group 3. Hey, baby. I pulled my group 3s. Oh, man. For a few weeks, group 3 was just kind of in the muck of a real cruddy situation. And the other day I thought, I'm done reading about this. I'm done reading about this person that is in their energy that is just a vortex of not great things. So I feel like, okay, let me tap into group 3's energy, please. I know you're still in the thick of it, okay? I understand that. I know you're going through it. I can feel it. This is about choosing yourself, though, baby. Oh, my group 3s. I just want to give you a hug. I consistently feel in my group 3s that I'm like sitting around a fire, and like a bonfire with I don't even play the guitar, but we have a guitar, and we're just singing Kumbaya, and we're just like holding hands, and it's just this moment where it's like togetherness and feeling supported in the moment, because I really feel like that's what my group 3s need in this moment, is just some support. I feel inclined to tell you about when I was in a situation that was really toxic. I used to lay in bed at night and I would imagine myself in a lotus flower, and I would put like a shield around me between the person that was laying next to me, because they were so, I was aware, I had become very aware that I was in a very toxic situation. And so I would put myself in this lotus flower laying next to that person, and I would ground in, and I would just imagine my roots going into the earth and removing all the negative energy that I had picked up from that person that day. And I don't know, I feel like someone out there needs to know that. All right, group 3. What you got going on, baby? What is the energy for group 3, please? Oh. We have the bear. I had to Build-A-Bear come in because I do think this is building. I do feel like this is a bit like building a new life. It is like the start. It's the beginning. It's the precipice of moving into the new and really embarking on the unknown and just falling right into it. We got the cosmic egg. Super amazing energy for you. I just got this for you the other day. I'm going to pull out this firefly one as well. Because the cosmic egg is it's basically it's a chapter ending, kind of. It's a chapter in your life in which you are moving into an awareness or moving into a new beginning. It is like it's also very congratulatory. It's like, yeah, you learned the lesson, you stepped outside the cycle, woo woo. You know, it's very, I know that right now it's probably difficult and you're in this moment and you're going through this, but there is an entire spiritual gang, I guess, or a gang. I don't know how to say this. My guides were just like, oh my God, they're funny because they were just like, yeah, we gangsters. They're like throwing gang signs. Oh God. Okay. That's enough of that. They're so cheeky sometimes. But anyway, that was absurd. Oh my gosh. I just got like stumbled off a track. But okay, there's this team is what they I just saw like Jafar, he's our man. If he can't do it, nobody can. Oh my goodness. I think you just need a little bit of a laugh, group 3. Yeah, so team, there's a spiritual team. Sorry. There's a spiritual team around you. Really, that is so proud of you in this moment. They're really, really, really proud of you. They're like, yes. I heard Tenarnia. So it's really stepping outside of something that it has not been great for you, has not served you well, and has really brought you down and really was, not that it wasn't necessary. We all have to experience those things because without the experience, we wouldn't learn or grow from it, right? So you are stepping outside of it. You are at this space of understanding what it is that you need to do. I do want to get a hit of, this is super heavy on your heart. And so I know that I've been a little bit lighthearted, only I think because my group 3s really need it. I know this is really weighing on you. I can feel it move into my back and I can feel it go. It's kind of like, okay, it's kind of going through these, this ebb and flow of feeling enlightened and feeling like happy and feeling like you can breathe, and then also feeling like it's the scariest thing in the world and it's so heavy and it's just weighing down on me and I don't like it. So there are kind of two teetering emotions within there. And no, I could give you a hug. I know, it's so, I know, baby, I know. Oh. It's hard. It's not easy stuff, okay? So nobody's going to discredit that. And make sure that you are just surrounding yourself with everything that's lifting you up. With the firefly, it is about seeing the light, connect into spirit, connect into God if you resonate with that. Really surrender and pray and just, or whatever it is that you can journal, get that out of you, get it out of your head. I've been journaling every day for 6 years, and it literally changed my whole life, just getting all of my thoughts out. And if you don't feel like it's a safe place for you to do it, lock your notes down in your phone, write them down when you can't, you know, write in your notes when you can to get that stuff out. Make a password protected folder that nobody can get into if you feel like you don't have the safety to even express yourself in the space that you're in this moment, which is quite possible for a lot of people in this collective. And you know, we got to protect ourselves, because sometimes people who want to use, they'll use anything against us that they can, and we really have to protect ourselves from those people. Watch what you're saying to certain types of energies. Don't be, it is nobody's business unless that person is coming from a space in which there are some people where they want to know our business because they want to be able to tell it to somebody else. And there are other people that want to know our business because they want to help us through a moment. Use discernment. And I'm going to tell you that that does not matter who it is, friends or family. All right. What is the energy for group 3? Do you remember? I don't know. It says I remember. You know, just that hit of the Michael Jackson thing kind of reminded me of childhood, right? Inner child stuff. Some of the things that you could be, I just want to bring this out for you, please, and water the garden for you as well. You could, what was I going to say? Michael Jackson. Why are we talking about Michael Jackson? Childhood. Some of the stuff that you could be going through, some of these experiences that you could be having could be a result of childhood wounding, and it typically is, okay? So we're not going to go deep into it. If you want to dive into it, there are other videos on my channel that have trigger warnings, and you can dive into it a little bit there. But there is sort of this connecting back with our child. And there's something I want to tell you about is when I was going through this and doing the inner child healing stuff, what I would do, and you have to obviously be in the right state of mind and make sure that you are kind of in your empowerment when you do this, right? You're in an empowered space, not in a space of being, or yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter. You could really be in despair as well, but going back into the moments within your childhood where you felt like it wasn't safe, and being that person for yourself, going in and saving yourself as today's version of you, and going in and just kind of taking, you know, putting in a new memory there. The brain is a really interesting system, right? So a lot of things that we stick into our brain and into our memory, there are things like repressed memories. There are things, there are situations in which our brain can kind of create a different reality from things as well. And it doesn't really know what's real and what's not in many respects. And so going back in and putting in a new core memory into those deeper woundings is probably one of the best things that we can do from ourselves. Just knowing that our brain doesn't really, you know, can't decipher the difference. And so now the brain's like, oh, well, it's okay because they went in and they were saved from that, from themselves. Their higher self came in and was like, we're pulling that baby right out of there. And so that's something that actually really, it's therapeutic in a sense that, and it's also this, it's building a relationship with self in which if nobody else was there to save you, realizing that we have to save ourselves kind of thing. We have lifting the veil, questioning everything unaligned, and everything unaligned must go. I do feel like this could be, a lot of times these big major shifts in growth are sort of a spiritual awakening. There is this sort of, we started tapping into connecting into spirit, or we just had this aha moment where we woke up to the fact that I'm doing this, I'm behaving this way because of this experience. And what I'm experiencing is this isn't normal. This isn't healthy. And realizing that we've been kind of what we've been accepting for ourselves for too long. And yeah, again, this is about watering your own garden. And with the thing, it's time to step up. I do feel like there are many of us within this collective who have gone through these very, very tumultuous experiences that really rock us and shake us and shift us. And I always say that it's like the universe picked me up and dropped me on my ass. It was like my entire world was flipped upside down. And it's ironically the best thing that ever happened to me. The best thing that ever happened to me was that experience, because it changed me and it made me a far better person by really humbling me into life and you know, really rocking the boat in my world. And I learned a lot from it. And so it might, I feel like you're kind of in that moment right now, right? So you're in it, and I know that when you're in it, it's a lot more difficult to see that. But what helps us to get through it is really connecting into understanding that the more we align ourselves with the things that are good for us, the more that we will receive that. It'll be shown back to you. When I was going through this really heavy, I was in a really toxic relationship. And when I was going through that, one of my friends, who ended up being the best friend I've ever had to date, and still is to this day, she was kind of reintroduced into my life right around the time that we were having all these big problems. And it is my relationship with her that became the catalyst for all other relationships, because no matter what I was going through, she never belittled me. She never put me down. She never made me feel like when I was distressed or I was distraught, I never felt like I was being dramatic. She fully understood how painful it is to go through certain things, and she was always a space of encouragement and always there for support. And so this is sort of a message of making sure that you are just kind of finding that, because the more that you give into those kind of connections, especially if you've been among an energy that has really dragged you down, remember, and it's so funny, that same best friend said this to me today, is that we are the 5 people that we spend the most time with. And so then when you're trying to get out of an alignment that doesn't match someone in your close vicinity, there will be a severing. It is so, is basically what I just heard, is because you cannot, those two energies cannot exist in the same space. There's too much resistance there. And so it's either stepping back into that energy with somebody and going back into that cycle and going back down into essentially hell, or stepping outside of it. And yeah, I know it's a big deal. And it's just to remember every day to connect into remaining grounded, breathe, be focused on, find some way to grasp at the light in the dark moments, because that is the stuff that's going to help you through. And you know, I'm surprised that baby steps isn't out here on the board, because I do see that sort of mountain to climb, right? And that is, you can't climb a mountain without taking baby steps. So you got this. Definitely make sure that you are really cleaning out the clutter and really connecting in with spaces that feel safe and secure, not spaces in which you feel like you're fighting to feel seen. I see you here, so you can stay here. All right. I do feel like that is kind of the advice, but we're going to get into advice for you as well. Group 3. Let's breathe. I just heard Pink Floyd. Breathe, breathe in the air. Don't be afraid to care. Leave, but don't leave me. Look around choose your own ground. Okay. Sorry. Violent. All right. I'm a big fan of Pink Floyd. I could go there forever. When we ain't here to listen to me sing. What is the advice here? Yeah, there's a major message surrounding connecting with your spiritual self, your spiritual body. The most important thing that we need to know is to bring in balance within connections. Oh, got that Three of Cups in reverse. There's a lot of messages on balance here. But the message really is about equal give and take. And, you know, this person here is kind of by themselves with all these. I'm going to say something. I just want to give a little trigger real quick. Trigger warning is that this very well could be a connection in which the way in which a person kind of oh my gosh, how am I going to say this? The way that they had emotional control was through really honing on insecurities, specifically surrounding a sensual or intimate, like intimacy. Thank you. Because a lot of this is someone kind of holding on to this all by themselves. And so it is sort of, I do feel like this is a connection, there's someone within this connection that really did not see all that they were being offered in it. And then there's another one that it was just kind of like giving and giving and giving and giving in order to feel some type of reciprocity, and essentially found themselves in a space where they were, you know, just not being like everything that they were building and everything that they were putting into it and everything that they were, first of all, it isn't that it wasn't enough. It is that it wasn't appreciated and there wasn't any reassurance going on. And so in this moment, it is about it. I always have this dang quote that comes up from Interview with the Vampire. And, you know, the funny thing about it is that it's like the most obscure quote within this movie, and not probably one that many people are going to associate it with, but it's just, that's how my brain works. But it's the part where Claudia and her mother are being like, this is so morbid, I'm so sorry, being sent to die, and one of the vampires is like, it's time for justice, little one. But yeah, that's kind of the vibe here, is that it's me time. And there very well could, I hate planting seeds. I really am not a reader who is a fan of anybody telling you that there's third-party energy. I feel like that's such a seed to plant. It's such BS. But I will say that I think there were external influences within this connection, where there were other players, or that there was other influence. Now, that this doesn't have to be betrayal of that kind. It can be toxic family systems. It can be there's a wide variety of things that this could be. So planting a seed that it's infidelity is something that I'm just not ever going to want to. That's just something I don't want to be sold personally. And so I'm not buying it. So I'm not going to say that, but and it'll fit, you know, however you, if it does resonate with you in that space, then okay, then you'll understand. But it could be any number of things that have kind of got in the way of, if this was a connection, that it would have been that just, it can even be the relationships that we had with our parents growing up, or you know what I mean? So any number of those things, okay, could be there. And it just really was someone just carrying all the burden. And really, that's unfair. It's unfair to be the only person in a situation that is trying to work to bring in a 10 of cups. So what you are, the balance that is going to be brought in for you is really, it is sort of this kind of pathway back to God, spirit, whatever it is that resonates with you. And it is about getting into a space of really moving towards the lighter aspects of life, and getting into a space where we're cutting out anything that isn't in alignment with our greatest good and the greatest good for all people. And that's very important, because that's how you're going to get a 10 of Cups connection realistically. Otherwise, what ends up happening is, if we don't start working on it, and we don't step outside of it, and we don't start choosing ourselves, and we don't start breaking these cycles, we're just going to repeat the cycle with a different face. And that's a very unfortunate reality of dealing with these kind of connections, is that it's repeating the same cycles that we've been dealing with the majority of our life, you know, and not even realizing it. So that is the message. I'm still probably going to give a warning on this connection, or on this, because it is a little bit of a heavier read, but I think it's well-intentioned. So I think that there's a lot of advice in here that's really going to help you in this moment. So big hugs to you, my group threes. If this resonated with you and you're new here, please like and subscribe. I'd love to see you back here in the future. Thank you so much for being here and for the support. And leave me a comment down below. The comments are literally my favorite part. I love reading your comments. Now, I know some of those that are connecting into this group might not want to share too much about their story, or even if you do, whatever you feel comfortable sharing is, I love hearing when a group or a read resonates with you. All right, group three. Thank you so much for being here. Enjoy the rest of your day.